that is a real problem, needing that money right away, which raises another issue in terms of the more discussion that you have about cutting education. We know what happened last year with the bonding agencies. I mean, that wasn't a scare tactic. I mean that Moody's and they basically told us that that we were really running the risk of having general obligation bonds being reduced.
And thereby producing a bunch of financing costs and making it much more difficult to do what we wanted to do. Yeah.
Sure, and that's true in terms of education, but it would seem to me in terms of all kind of uh, uh, bonding for everything or anything that government might need.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. So, what about? I know that one of the people who has been a real voice in here is Treasurer John Kennedy, and he has said he's approached it from. He says, we've got to cut, and we've got to cut government contracts. Um, is that the solution? Is that part of the solution?
Well, part of the solution has to be that the legislature has to start doing a better job of paying attention to what we're spending our money on. And part of that is consulting contracts. Part of that is exemptions. Part of that's everything. The legislature in the last session voted down, or the session before last voted down, requiring the legislative auditor to do a cost benefit analysis of the exemption programs, right? I mean, that's the kind, you're basically saying, I don't know how much we're spending, and I don't know if it's worthwhile, and I don't want to know. That's the kind of action that the legislature just really can't put its head in the sand anymore. We need to crack open those boxes. We need to crack open the dedications. We need to see what's there, and we need to, make some changes, because this is obviously not working. We got a big problem.
Well, do we need a constitutional convention then? Obviously, if it's, I mean, I doubt we'll get, a special session at least, that would be a constitutional session.
It might be helpful to do that just for getting the issues on the table. Constitutional amendments or conventions are very, very cumbersome and difficult things. And everybody, I mean, the last one was very, very hard to put through, and it really passed the public barely at the time. And I'm not sure that we're ready for a constitutional convention. I think we have the tools to fix what we need to fix if the legislature will have the courage and the leadership to go after it. And I am hopeful that this governor will take them in that direction. Although I have to say, with the shenanigans about Speaker of the House and all that kind of stuff, that I'm less sanguine perhaps than I was.
Yeah, I was just going to get to that in terms of the Speaker of the House. Uh, at this point in time, we're looking at he wants a Democrat. Republicans and some religious organizations, etc., have been pushing a Republican. Are you surprised at the pushback by the Republican Party and others?
No, I think it's natural. And I mean, they have a majority, and that's pretty much usually the way our legislatures work, is that the majority decides who the speaker is and who the president of the Senate is. And that's always been kind of the standard across the nation, where you haven't had a real bipartisan kind of approach. So the fact that it should come here, I'm not at all surprised. Republicans feel like, hey, we got 61 seats in the legislature. Why can't we have the power to determine who our own leadership should be? And frankly, I am in support of that. I think it's time for the legislature to do two things. One, declare themselves independent of the governor and start acting like a real legislature and not like a punching bag.
Right.
And secondly, take responsibility for their own actions and inactions. Because as it is now, the governor plays the legislature for patsy. The legislature then says to the governor, oh, well, we would have done it, but the governor vetoed it. Oh, we would have done it, but the governor wouldn't let us. Well, look, we need to move on and have two institutions at least that are both healthy, thriving institutions. And to do that, they need to be independent.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I really do. Especially the last 8 years has taught me, that you certainly don't want to have a all powerful governor to to basically handpick who the leader is going to be, and to use the veto pen and the threat of vetoes, etc., to get his or her way. So I definitely, whether or not a person, whether they're running as Republicans, Democrats, that doesn't bother me. It's more I want independence, and I think that's what you're saying too.